When I learned that I have Asperger's autism, I was excited. I felt a huge amount of relief. And I was reminded yesterday that not everybody feels this way when they learn about this, when they get a diagnosis. And so I wanted to offer a different perspective from my own experience. So we started learning about autism because my now 8-year-old started exhibiting some of these signs that I had heard of, and so we wanted to look into it and learn more about it for her. And what was super interesting was once we started reading about it, getting this information, we discovered that both myself and my husband fit into some of these profiles as well. And learning about this was so exciting for me because it has given me a new language for understanding myself and understanding my husband and understanding my daughter. A language that I didn't necessarily have before. And I think the thing that makes it feel exciting and relieving and not something that feels detrimental or that I need to grieve is because hearing this diagnosis or getting this label or putting this definition onto our experiences and who we are doesn't change what's happening. All of this has already been happening. All of these things are already true about us and who we are. And so a diagnosis doesn't suddenly give you a life sentence of this is what things are going to be like now. It is actually a very freeing thing because it just describes what's already happening in front of you. It describes the behaviors that you're seeing or the things that you're feeling or the type of interactions or struggles that you're having. All of those are already there. And just because you don't know about it doesn't mean that getting this diagnosis has to change the trajectory of what is already going on. And the cool thing about knowing this about yourself or about your kids is you can now do something about it in a sense. If you know that, oh, my kid struggles with this, or this is hard for them, or this is a problem for them, you have this new language, this new way of filtering information, this new way of seeing that allows you to meet them where they're at more easily. It gives you the space to accept them as they are. It gives you an understanding that can help you work together to accommodate these different needs, your needs and their needs, working together to figure out how to live together, how to do life together, how to express feelings and how to get needs met and how to communicate and how to have relationship. So all of these struggles, all of these differences, so to speak, are already happening. They're already there, whether it's you, your child, somebody else that you love or know. And a diagnosis or a label is just a description, a descriptive word that we have come up with to describe a series of things. And it might be different for every person. You know, not everybody fits into the exact diagnostic criteria, but it doesn't mean this can't still define their experience. And the interesting thing about autism that I have learned so far from reading a lot about it, from my experience, from the experiences of my family members, is that the diagnostic criteria is very much written from an outside-in perspective. It's written from a somebody who does not have this specific way of being, writing about what they are observing from their perspective or from their point of view or through their lenses and their interpretations. And I've found that when somebody is trying to describe, what is going on in somebody else's head, a lot of times it's not really accurate. It doesn't really describe what's actually happening. And so you see from these outside-in perspectives, what is autism, what is Asperger's, what is ADHD, whatever it is. And if you talk to some of the people who are in these positions, who actually live with this and are thriving and are enjoying life and are doing well and have learned who they are and how they interact with the world, it's a completely different definition. It's a completely different experience than what you might read in a diagnostic manual or what you might read in a book about how to help your kids. So that's what I would encourage you to do if you are learning about yourself or your child or these different neurodiversities or ways of being or differences with yourself or with your kids. Sometimes the material that is widely used, sometimes the things that are out there and the most recommended, are not actually going to help you. It would be better to hear from somebody who has this experience, somebody who's been there, somebody who knows at a very deep level, because they live it every day, what this is like for them. And then even beyond that, open your mind and open space to hear your child or to hear yourself, to hear this person with this new diagnosis. Because even all of us who have the same label may have different struggles, may have different ways of being, may have different strengths, may have different ways of interacting. And so make space to hear what this experience is like for them. Because you can read in a book all day about this is what it's like to have autism, but you don't necessarily know what it's like for that one person in your life, that one person who's in front of you, who you care about. So make space to listen to them, hear what the experience is like for them, and trust them, believe them. When your child tells you something, believe them. And I can't stress this enough, because we can tend to so easily dismiss their experience because maybe it doesn't line up with what we think, or maybe we're like, those situations where we're like, oh, you're not really upset about this, you're just tired, you're just hungry. We can get really dismissive and train ourselves not to really hear our kids and hear their experience and hear what's going on with them. So when they say something, when they say, I don't want to do this, when they say that this is hard for me, when they say I don't want to, when they say I feel this way, believe them, listen to their experience, get to know who they are and what they need in these moments where you feel like something should be easy for them, or when you feel like something is not normal. Listen to what they want. Listen to what they need, because this is where you will really find the answers to supporting your child, supporting yourself. Listen to yourself too. If this is about you, listen to what the experience is like. Listen to what you need, instead of trying to put yourself or your kid through a filter or a lens of what's normal and what's not. If I have a specific struggle, or if I need something specific, I have learned how to ask for that. I've learned how to recognize what I need and how to communicate that. And you are in this great position, if this is your child that you're working with, to support them in learning that about themselves, in coming to recognize, have this bodily awareness of who they are, how they communicate, how they show up in the world, what they enjoy, what they love doing, what they're really good at, and where they need extra help. For me, one of my big struggles is with transitions. I often have a really hard time transitioning from one thing to another. And the really cool thing about learning about autism and Asperger's is that I have a new understanding of how to help myself in those moments. To give you a specific example, the other night with my husband, we were getting ready to go to bed. I was nursing the baby. She was falling asleep. He was getting the other kids, helping them to get to sleep. And I had this assumption, I had the expectation that we were going to be going to sleep. Now, my husband had a different expectation that he hadn't yet communicated to me. He wanted to stay up and work on some stuff. And so when I was presented with this new information that didn't align with my own trajectory or where I thought things were going, when he said that he wasn't going to come to bed yet, that he was going to stay up and work on some things, I had a really hard time adjusting to this new information. And in that moment, what I asked for was that he leave, come back in 10 minutes, and tell me the same thing over again. Because I recognized in that moment that that was what I needed. I needed a little bit of space, a little bit of time to readjust my own expectations and where I thought things were going to happen to this new information, to what he wanted, to what he was needing. And so there are so many cool ways that you can learn about yourself, learn about your kids, and learn to communicate those needs. Because in that moment, I didn't need help with understanding the differences in what we wanted to do. I didn't need an explanation. I didn't need him to do what I wanted him to do, which it would have been my usual response, getting mad at him because he wasn't doing what I expected he was gonna do. Instead, I just needed a little bit of space, a little bit of time to accept that something was going to happen differently than the way that I thought it was going to happen. And so this is the kind of stuff you can learn about yourself and about your kids and about the people in your life. And this doesn't just apply to differences in neurobiology. This really applies to everyone because ultimately everybody's different. Everyone has different needs. Everyone has different feelings. Everyone has different ways of being. Take the time to learn about each other, about yourself, about these other people in your family that you live with or that you see all the time. Take the time to learn how to best communicate with each other. This doesn't have to be a dark and damning experience to receive a diagnosis or to learn these things about yourself or about your kids. It can be a positive thing. It can be an exciting new journey that you get to go on with yourself and with these kids that you love. And so I want to put that out there as a different perspective on receiving a diagnosis. It doesn't change what's already happening. It just gives you a new understanding. It gives you a new language to connect and to better support these people in your life that you love and you live with every day. It doesn't change who you are. It just changes the words you use to describe yourself. It changes how you know how to communicate your needs. It changes maybe how you express your feelings. And all of those things can be positive because it means you are learning to accept yourself. It means you are learning to accept your child and learning how to be in connection together, in relationship with yourself, with your kids, with these people in your life. It's not the end of the world. It's really just the beginning.